On this Sunday night, federal election speculation. The minority government's budget faces a final confidence vote.
100% of our MPs oppose the costly Carney credit card budget.
Will it pass or send Canadians back to the polls? The Epstein files fight. Ahead of a vote on releasing the documents, a prominent Republican turns on Trump. Lending your voice.
What makes a voice iconic?
Hollywood heavyweights causing controversy for licensing their voices to artificial intelligence. Plus, testing allegiance. Winnipeg hosts the Rough Riders and the Alouettes as the Grey Cup kicks off.
Global National. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. We are now just hours away from a major vote in Parliament. On Monday, MPs will decide whether to approve Prime Minister Mark Carney's first budget or topple the minority government and send this country to an election. The Liberals need just a handful of votes from the opposition, but so far there's no clear indication if any of the other party members will support it. Mackenzie Gray reports on the high-stakes budget standoff.
Mark Carney's Grey Cup weekend could be his last fun night out for a while, with Monday's vote on his budget a coin toss. The Liberals have 169 members in their caucus, just short of what's needed for a majority in the House of Commons, with all the opposition parties having 173 members in total. The first way Mark Carney can survive, getting two opposition members to vote for the budget, which would give us a tie, 171 to 171. When a tie happens, the Speaker casts the deciding vote, and parliamentary tradition is to have the Speaker vote with the government to maintain the status quo. While the NDP hasn't said what they'll do, they're the party most likely to support the budget. The Liberals have stuffed in multiple NDP goodies like money for wildfire fighting and cash for a Filipino community centre in Vancouver, which interim NDP leader Don Davies loves.
I am so happy this year that our continuing efforts by myself and my NDP colleagues have once again resulted in a federal commitment to funding for this much needed asset.
The Bloc Québécois say they won't vote for the budget after their demands weren't met.
This I cannot vote for.
Green Party leader Elizabeth May made her feelings clear about the budget, but she has been talking with Mark Carney about amendments.
I hope to be able to vote for this budget, but it must change if I can vote for it.
Even if Carney gets May on side, her one vote isn't enough, meaning it's the Conservatives who could play a deciding role.
100% of our MPs oppose the costly Carney credit card budget.
While they might oppose it, not all of Pierre Poilievre's MPs showed up to do that when it counted most. 4 Conservative MPs missed 2 votes on budget amendments last week, and if that happens on Monday, the government would survive. If 4 opposition MPs abstain or don't show up, there'd be another tie, and the Speaker would break the deadlock. MPs can vote electronically, and despite the system only working occasionally, the NDP says some of their members will vote remotely on the budget, Jeff, increasing the chances of an accidental election, which we had back in 1979, when Joe Clark's government fell on their first budget. 2 months later, Clark was out, and Pierre Trudeau was in with a massive majority.
All right, Mac, the last election was just 6 months ago. So are opposition parties playing chicken here, or could Canadians really be heading back to the polls?
Yeah, Jeff, I do feel that it's likely the scenarios that we laid out with either the opposition parties voting with the government or not showing up is most likely to happen. But it's not a slam dunk, and there are reasons why each party might actually want an election right now. The Conservatives could say Mark Carney isn't actually elbows up and try and make the ballot question not about Trump, like it was in April, but instead about domestic issues like crime and immigration, which they think are winners. The NDP might feel it can't get any worse. They've only got 7 seats, and they could believe regaining party status and the millions in funding that comes with that is a possibility. The Bloc probably want an election right now to avoid drawing money and resources away from the Quebec provincial election scheduled for next year, with the Parti Québécois leading in the polls, and even the Liberals might want to go right now. A broke and leaderless NDP plus a Conservative Party that's had some caucus troubles might present the best conditions for Mark Carney to get that majority that he is desperate to achieve. Now, there are counterpoints, Jeff, a lot of risk on all sides. If Pierre Poilievre loses, it's probably his last election as Conservative leader. The NDP, they're $8 million in debt. The Liberals, they're polling well in Quebec and could take some block seats. And Mark Carney could get blamed for an early election and get voted out. So there is massive political calculations in tomorrow's vote, regardless if the Liberals hang on, Jeff, or if we head to a Christmas election.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thank you, Mac. Well, it's shaping up to be another tumultuous week for U.S. President Donald Trump. American lawmakers are expected to vote on whether to release all of the files on Jeffrey Epstein. Last week, a House committee released thousands of Epstein's emails, including one where the convicted sex offender suggested that Trump knew about the abuse of underage girls. Trump claims those allegations are a hoax. As Reggie Cicchini reports, a growing number of Republicans are now turning against their president.
The White House has been knocked on its heels from a mess partially of its own making, as thousands of emails tied to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein consume an Oval Office actively trying to distance itself from the scandal.
I don't care about it, released or not.
The American president is still trying to paint the Epstein files as nothing more than a hoax,
to do with truth and clarity,
despite campaigning on delivering them to the American public.
Anyone that is being abused, it is not your fault.
Trump's reversal has created a fissure in his party, with firebrand conservative Marjorie Taylor Greene now in the crosshairs over her support to release the files, with Donald Trump withdrawing his support and endorsement, calling her wacky Marjorie and a traitor.
Those are the types of words used that can radicalize people against me and put my life in danger.
Despite Trump's rhetoric,
as soon as the discharge petition received the 218th signature, we brought it up on unanimous consent.
A House vote on releasing the files is coming, but faces stiff headwinds amid another investigation looking into Epstein's alleged ties to big banks and big names, including the Clintons, despite a memo earlier this year concluding there was no client list.
The more the White House pushes back on this, it just looks bad.
We're just asking for the full files to be released.
For one reason or another, Trump is tying political knots tighter, dragging his White House further into the drama in defiance of lawmakers, voters, and Epstein's survivors.
And as we come together, I think we just feel stronger and stronger. The more voices we have, the louder we get. We are nervous right now because it feels like there's a lot at stake. But I also think we feel really emboldened.
The looming House vote is expected to pass, but it's not clear if the Senate will take it up. And even if it does and it passes, Jeff, it still needs the president's signature, which at this point seems unlikely.
Reggie Cicchini in Washington. Thanks, Reggie. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro appealed directly to Americans. Speaking in English, he denounced the prospect of a U.S. military intervention in his country.
The people of the United States, listen to me. War of Caribbean, war South America. No.
In a surreal moment, President Maduro and his supporters then sang John Lennon's song Imagine, calling for peace. Maduro also slammed Trinidad and Tobago, the neighboring country that is hosting U.S. military drills this week. The Trump administration has repeatedly blamed Maduro for the influx of illegal drugs into the United States, and America has also been amassing naval forces in the Caribbean, raising fears it is preparing for a larger conflict with Venezuela. At least 120 people, including 100 police officers, have been injured during violent protests in Mexico City. Thousands of self-described Gen Z protesters gathered at sites across the country this weekend, demonstrating against government corruption and violent crime after an outspoken Mexican mayor was murdered earlier this month. The country's president is hitting back, accusing foreign groups of orchestrating the unrest. Vincent McAviney reports.
Thousands of Mexicans took to the streets of their capital on Saturday, marching towards the residence of the country's president. Organised primarily by Gen Z youth groups across the country, they're demanding an end to government corruption and an improvement in safety and security. This movement was sparked in part by the assassination earlier this month of Carlos Manzo, an independent mayor of Uruapan, a city in the west of the country. Seen here moments before he was shot, Manzo had been an outspoken critic of organised crime and drug cartels. He had repeatedly asked for more state protection to carry out his duties. His wife, Gretzia, has assumed his office, vowing to fight the cartels. Protesters carrying placards of the fallen mayor were in agreement that security should be the government's top priority. We demand justice because young people are fed up and want a good future for our children and for future generations. We want justice for Carlos Manzo and for all those who have lost their lives and their property at the hands of criminals. We cannot be in the hands of a country ruled by crime. No more, no more. I think this is the limit. The protests turned violent when metal barriers protecting the National Palace were attacked, prompting riot police to fire tear gas and smoke bombs. President Claudia Sheinbaum criticised the violence and accused right-wing politicians who oppose her government of funding the protesters.
Decimos no a la violencia.
We say no to violence. If you have a disagreement, you have to demonstrate in a peaceful way. There is never a need to use violence for change. Sheinbaum was elected last year and retains approval ratings above 70%. While she's made inroads in clamping down on fentanyl trafficking as demanded by US President Trump, some Mexicans believe she's not yet done enough to protect them from rising levels of extreme violence. Vincent McAviney, Global News, London.
The Trump administration's immigration crackdown is now targeting North Carolina. Federal agents carried out arrests across Charlotte this weekend. Officials said the goal is to protect the public from dangerous criminal offenders who are in the country illegally. But the mayor says the crackdown is causing unnecessary fear and uncertainty. Charlotte is now just the latest Democrat-run city to be targeted, following similar raids in Chicago, Los Angeles, and Washington. The British government has just announced a sweeping overhaul of its asylum policies, making refugee status temporary and extending the wait time for permanent residency up to 20 years.
What the new reforms will do is change that generations-old assumption that sanctuary provided to refugees can very quickly lead to permanent settlement and all of the rights that go alongside that. We will be changing that to a more temporary process, and the situation will be assessed every 2.5 years.
If those assessments find that a refugee's home country is now safe, they would be sent back. The legal duty to provide housing and financial aid can also be scrapped. The Labour government is hardening its policies in response to the growing popularity of the anti-immigration Reform UK party. Tragedy strikes a beach in California. Coming up, the search for a Calgary girl swept out to sea and how her father tried to save her. Plus, 4 years since a devastating flood in BC, why some residents still can't return home. A volunteer search team from Ontario is scouring a wooded area in rural Nova Scotia this weekend, looking for any signs of 2 missing children. 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack went missing in Pictou County back in May. The volunteer group called Please Bring Me Home says it found a child's t-shirt, a blanket, and a tricycle, but police say those items are not connected to the children's disappearance. The group says it will continue searching this week. California police say a Calgary man has drowned trying to save his daughter, who remains missing. It happened at this beach on Friday. Police say the 39-year-old father entered the water after his 5-year-old was swept offshore by a 6-meter wave. The man's body was recovered, but the girl has not been found. The child's mother made it back to shore and is suffering from hypothermia. Southern California has been drenched by an atmospheric river. Fears of flash flooding and mudslides have prompted mandatory evacuation orders in the same communities that were hit by devastating wildfires earlier this year. One man died trying to cross a flooded road in his car, and it's believed 4 migrants from Mexico also died when their small boat overturned. It was 4 years ago this weekend that another atmospheric river drenched southwestern British Columbia, causing catastrophic flooding and landslides. Some communities still haven't recovered. Global's Travis Prasad reports on one First Nation where families are still living in limbo.
4 years ago, catastrophic flooding tore apart communities across southern BC. Among the worst damage, the washout of Highway 8 between Merritt and Spence's Bridge.
Here we go.
In the months following, crews rebuilt enough road for most residents to return, but not everyone.
When the floods came, we thought we were going to be home in about 2 days because we didn't pack anything.
While floodwaters have receded, the level of uncertainty remains high for some in the Shaken Indian Band. Former Chief Arnold Lampro's home and 9 others were cut off when a bridge washed away.
Our pump hoses are flooded. Roads flooded.
They believe they'll never return home. The area, previously destabilized by wildfires, is now considered too dangerous to live in.
The river has actually risen in height from the gravel, and in some places it's higher than the lower lying grounds.
Evacuees say securing new land and funding for housing requires action from the current chief and council, but they feel left behind.
The band is prioritizing other people who haven't been impacted by the floods. They're prioritizing cows and making sure that they are safe and comfortable and looked after, and we're left on the outskirts.
We asked band council for an update, but did not hear back in time for this report. Meanwhile, Indigenous Services Canada says it has provided over $22.9 million to support Shaken Indian Band with recovery efforts, including housing repairs, engineering assessments, mitigating further flood impacts, and continued recovery planning. Adding it continues to work with the First Nation to explore viable long-term housing options.
As true people of this land, we want a home too. We need to belong somewhere in our territory so we can conduct our ceremonies, grieve for our loved ones, and celebrate those who have not yet been born.
While many can look back on the floods as a tragic chapter, for these families, that chapter is still open, with no end in sight.
It's like we're forgotten.
Travis Prasad, Global News.
I've got a question for you.
Is that really actor Michael Caine or a digital fake? Still ahead, the debate over celebrities licensing their voices to AI companies. The rapid rise of artificial intelligence is sparking debate in Hollywood. Last week, an AI-generated country song topped the charts, and 2 movie stars have recently licensed their voices to an AI company. Taria Isri reports on the deal that's dividing show business.
I've got a question for you. What makes a voice iconic?
You likely know who's speaking.
My name is Michael Caine.
But do you know if it's really him? Legendary actor Michael Caine has licensed his unmistakable voice to New York-based AI company 11 Labs.
All right.
Another Hollywood star has also signed a deal with them.
A good man stands for certain ideals.
Matthew McConaughey is allowing the company to translate his newsletter in Spanish using his voice.
Hola. Feliz viernes a todos. Tengo un anuncio algo especial.
The actor is an investor in 11 Labs, which is valued at $6.6 billion. It has a catalog of voices from late and famous figures, like Maya Angelou, John Wayne, and Judy Garland.
At that moment, Dorothy saw lying on the table.
The licensing deals are stirring up debate about the role of AI in entertainment.
This feels, for lack of a better word, icky.
Voice actors worry these celebrity partnerships could push them out of business.
It's a very privileged stance, and the vast majority of people who work in this business are not celebrities. They're not million-dollar makers.
The use of AI was one of the key sticking points in the Hollywood strike of 2023.
What we're perhaps seeing now is that unity to start to almost be breaking down.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
The Canadian Association of Voice Actors says AI has its place in the arts, but it would like to see guardrails like consent, control, and compensation for everyone, not just those at the top.
Voice actors aren't being compensated fairly, and now celebrities are jumping in going, yay, I'm going to make a lot of money. So it doesn't seem fair.
We are weaned from our timidity.
A conversation growing louder about who gets the biggest say when it comes to AI and entertainment. Taria Isri, Global News, Montreal.
Grey Cup allegiances up next. Fans of the Rough Riders and Alouettes descend on Blue Bombers territory. Welcome back. It's the biggest day in Canadian football. The Saskatchewan Roughriders are playing the Montreal Alouettes for the rights to hoist the Grey Cup. The game is happening in Winnipeg, where thousands of fans from across the country have gathered and are hoisting cups of a different kind. Our Melissa Ridgen is crashing that party for us tonight. Melissa.
Jeff, anywhere that you've got food and beer, there's a good chance that you'll find football fans. Some got here not long after the sun came up, and they've been gearing up all day for the big game. Not surprising, there's a lot of green to be seen as Saskatchewan fans eagerly made the trip to Winnipeg to watch their team in the Grey Cup finals in Blue Bombers territory.
We're gonna paint this town green! Raiders! At the end of the game, after we win the Grey Cup, I would put a sign in there and say, "Look, Bombers, this is how it's done."
Alouettes fans made the trip too in smaller numbers, but finding big support.
They like Montreal, they want us to win because they don't like Saskatchewan.
Winnipeg Blue Bombers president Wade Miller tells us 75% of those in the sold-out Princess Auto Stadium are Bomber fans. Some of them all too happy to cheer on anyone but the Riders.
Montreal.
Montreal. Woo!
National party, you know, we've seen some Ticats, we've seen some BC Lions, we've seen obviously some Regina people here. Even like we were with some people from Nova Scotia.
Yeah. Great weather, great friends. The country came together.
A fun fact for you, Jeff, this is the 15th straight sold-out game here, and at 32,343 capacity, this stadium amounts to the third biggest community in Manitoba. So regardless of who drinks from the Grey Cup tonight, Winnipeg as a host city is a big winner with an estimated $90 million in economic boost. Wow.
Melissa Ridgen in Winnipeg. Thanks, Melissa. And that is Global National for this Sunday night. I'm Jeff Semple. Your Canada is going global this week. We're showcasing your pictures of Canadian pride from all over the world. Tonight, we're showing Stonehenge in England, a home in Kodaikanal, India, and the Canadian flag presented to a school in Tabora, Tanzania. Thanks for watching. Donna will be back tomorrow. Have a great night.